Welcome to the Noble Podcast. In this podcast, we interview sales legends and share their secrets with the goal to help you improve your sales strategy. Welcome everyone to the Noble Podcast. Today in the studio we have Koen Stam. Koen comes from an entrepreneurial family and worked in his family business before attempting his own SaaS company. I believe it was back in 2015. After that, he worked in sales, started his professional sales career at Teamleader, where he also landed his first management role before moving to 24 Sessions. 24 Sessions was acquired at some point by MessageBird in 2022, and that's when Koen moved to Personio. I don't think Koen needs much of an introduction. Everybody probably knows Koen, but he is Head of Benelux at Personio. He is ambassador of Winning by Design. He is chapter lead of Pavilion in the Benelux. He is also an ambassador of a company called Trumpet. And he recently founded his own company called GTMOS, where he helps SaaS companies scale to 50 million in ARR. And he is a father of two.
That's the most important.
So my first obvious question, Koen, to you is, how are you balancing all of this while still staying sane?
I even have time to jump on the podcast. AI is the answer. I don't know. I think in my genes, I'm just a little bit. I have just too much energy and I don't need much sleep. No, actually, I always say. So my ground foundation indeed comes from our family business, and I'm used to work like 70, 80 hours. Where even when I was young, we woke up at 3:30. Just to get towards our business at 4:30, because then all the orders came in, and I did that like also when I was young, next to studies, and that was 6 days a week. So I think you kind of ingrained into your memory brain like you don't need much sleep. And let's be honest, like all these kind of things, you do that because you like that, and if you like these kind of things, it's kind of like a passion. Even though my girlfriend doesn't like when I call like hobbies and passions work, but or work hobbies and passions, but it feels like. Then it doesn't cost much energy, and then you just want to do those kind of things. And if I see, and I think that's always the most important. That's also why I like to be a leader, not an IC. I moved quite quickly from an IC towards leadership. Why? I don't like being an individual contributor. I like to spread my energy, my knowledge to others. And if I can help one other person or a team, and I see that they benefit from that, I mean, that gives me a lot of satisfaction. So, yeah. That's nice. A bit, I think, the golden answer.
Nice, yeah, it's really inspiring, and you see that what you do gives you energy. Yeah, always when I speak to you, you're always full of energy. So
that's not a problem.
That resonates. So super nice. Cool. Hey, you work as head of Benelux at Personio. What does this role exactly entail? What do you do every day?
Yeah, because eventually in SaaS, and because you get along all different kind of roles and titles. First of all, title is not important. It's more like what are you doing, and also in the role, what is the responsibility? And I think what I like really in a company like Personio, and that was actually also in my role at Teamleader, which is more like if you really define it as a country manager role or general manager, where you are actually responsible for all net added revenue. So not only for new business, not only for AE, no, it's definitely everything. And that's also within that role. So we, as Personio, just to give context, but like we are an HRS platform out of Munich, and HR, and that's also what we are solving, like HR, automating all the HR processes for our customers, SMB, mid-market. But HR is very local, complex, has all local challenges and requirements, legislation. Obviously, HR focuses towards payroll. So for us as a company, and also in our international strategy, it's very important to be there locally. So we strongly believe, for instance, in this way, in this country manager role. I mean, depends on your level. For me, it's head of, but that's actually what I do. So it's really focused on the Benelux, the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg, where 80% of our customers come from the Netherlands. So still they're strongly dependent on the Netherlands, but more and more also now in Belgium, which is great. And really to harmonize those teams, so cross-functional leadership. And I think that's really interesting, but I think as well important, because I think nowadays as well with AI and being more efficient as teams, we really need more of those cross-functional leaders, because we need to fight not for our internal department. We need to fight for our customer.
Yeah.
And our customer doesn't mind in which department you are, what kind of title you have, or what your responsibilities are. We need to help them. We need to solve problems for them. And we need to keep doing that, because if we don't do that, any startup with AI will do that, and you will lose your revenue and you don't have recurring impact.
Exactly.
So that's my role and my responsibility.
Interesting. And so basically you're saying you're not only responsible for the new revenue, but also for the existing client portfolio, partnerships in the region. Pretty much a GM of the region, so to speak. How big is your team exactly, and how is it distributed? Across marketing, sales, partnerships, etc.
Depends on the different regions. So for us in the Benelux, we have a regional marketing manager who I used to work with in 24 sessions. So we already working for, I think it's now like 5.5 years. Rick, and he has a team of currently 2. So we have a content marketeer, event manager. She does way more than events, but for now the title is event manager. So that's our marketing team. Then we have an SDR team, 5 or 6 SDRs. We have a sales team, an AE team, 6 or 7. And important, we have an SDR manager, we have an AE manager. Then we have an implementation team of 3. We have a account management and customer success team, different roles, 1 manager, 3 and 3. So that's 6, 9, 7, 16, 5, 21, 24, and some leaders. So it's still, let's say between 25 and almost 30 people, also including myself in the Benelux operations. Wow. So it's still quite significant. But I mean, in the 5 years that we are operational, we also drive quite some revenue there. So nice. That's our operation at the moment.
Okay, interesting. And when you started, how big was that team?
Oh, and a partner manager, because you mentioned that one as well. I fight for 1.5 years to get a partner manager. I strongly believe that's maybe one thing, but if you really want to build, because that's my passion. I always also in my previous companies been or a country manager or not being like the headquarters, but be a satellite office. And how are you scaling inside of, let's say, countries or regions which are not your home country? Yeah. And then strongly, I believe in everything partnerships, because they have the credibility, they have the access, and if you leverage that, so we also have a partner manager who makes a lot of impact. Yeah,
can imagine. And obviously, you're a big fan of partnerships, and you're doing a lot of that work yourself as well. I know for a fact. Yeah. And when you started in the Netherlands at Personio, how big was the team back then, and how big was the region versus now?
I think when I entered, where you had 2 SDR managers, 2 AE managers, we had significantly more SDRs, significantly more AEs, significantly more everything, budget. So I think over the course of years, it was also one of my key actions. And of course, it's never fun if you come in as a leader to, need to, I will not say I half-size the team, but we really need to do reduce the team significantly. I think that was also more than 3 years ago, actually 3 years ago. And I think there was also different times, right? Now with AI, post-COVID, all the companies needs to be way more towards profitability, efficient growth. I think the picture now really looks different, but I think it's also very important. The team of people you have, are they able to succeed? And obviously it's not only Excel math to see hey, do we have enough coverage to cover and that they can get to the quota, but eventually they need to have a feeling of winning. And I truly believe if you really you should rely on people, but you should rely on processes first. And eventually, if you have the right processes, how to be very efficient and executing stuff really efficiently, you actually as well know what is the max capacity that this one person can execute. Yeah. And then I'd rather have someone who has 1.5 or 2x more demos or more pipe, whatever, to work with. So we reduced slightly the team, and we directly saw an uptake in overall attainment, in, of course, a boost of confidence. And that's the most important. It boosts confidence because they can make this mistake, but still hitting their quota. They're hitting the quota, making extra money. It gives everyone a boost because this is the way we work. And that's contagious. And this is how easily, and we've seen it multiple times also in my previous companies, that this works. Yeah. So, yeah,
I can fully understand that.
So back to your question, it was significantly larger, and we need to make some cuts in ICs and team leads. Never fun, but I think as leader is also very important just to make those calls.
100%. And it also builds your experience, right? I mean, of course, it's not fun, but it's also something a leader needs to do at certain times, and that experience also builds your.
There's one key lesson for a lot of first line leaders or first time leaders is when you own a team or you get like promoted from an IC towards a team lead or a manager or head of, like depends on what your title is. If I ask you the question, who do you think is your most important stakeholder? So you will become from an IC, you will turn team lead, manager. Who do you think is your most important stakeholder?
To like a new...
Yeah. For this manager, like this manager who just leads a team, a team of 8 people.
Well, that person will probably say his boss or his or her boss.
And yeah, but he will say or she will say that. Like, but then they are acting this manager role. They always been in IC. Where do they put the most emphasis to?
Yeah, I guess on themselves.
No.
On their team?
No, I mean, obviously they will work on themselves, but they're a manager. Though they need to work for the team. So that's like also the point I wanted to make. Like, it is so logical that you are defending and everything in your team because you want to become I don't hope that you want to become buddies, but at least you want to build this relationship with the team.
Of course, yeah.
But what is very important that you've put in that position to not be one-on-one. You add a lot of value towards the company. No, you now have a team of 7 or 8. You need to make really, let's be honest, profitable because we are commercial companies.
Of course, yeah.
So, I mean, indeed, your upper stakeholders, your boss, and like for you're working, they're way more important. And sometimes we also forget.
Yeah,
that.
okay. If you're super empathetic and you want to make your team
which is
work,
important,
etc. Of course.
But eventually, we also need to really understand, and that comes back towards if you need to make any difficult decisions, we need to make a scalable, impactful revenue engine who eventually becomes profitable.
Okay. Oh, that's a beautiful word. Nice. Hey, and you also mentioned just now, hey, you're a satellite office, so to speak, working for in a different region than a headquarters. I can also imagine that is a difficult situation to be in, especially maybe if you're for the first time in that situation.
Very difficult.
Is there anything that you can give in terms of advice or share in terms of your own learnings on?
No. I think what for a lot of leaders, or if you see that you can eventually become country manager or manager from a new region, etc. The one mistake you should not make is like, let's copy everything from the home country. What worked there, we will do it, or in the main region, and we will just copy and we'll expect the same thing and the same output and the same metrics and
the same targets as well.
Yeah, no, it's not going to fly. And I think what is really important, regardless your role responsibility, but you really need to understand that region. That means you need to talk to customers, you need to talk to partners, you need to even talk to competitors, you need to really understand what is driving the needle. And from there building. And I think one of the key things that is more, and again, I don't say this is the top 3 list, if you execute this, it will work, but this is what works for us, is when I came in, we didn't have any major integration with payroll. We didn't have a HR consultancy type of partners who were really strongly attached towards us. And I can learn everything myself as being in that new satellite office, or I leverage the partners who are already there. I leverage the knowledge of the customers who are already there. Maybe they can refer me. So based on really, and that was like always my thing, like go out and have those conversations. You learn a lot. And it will take time. And yes, I also have the pressure of this month and this quarter target, but like it needs to take to the tangle. You need to really make sure in your agenda you have time for execution, which is really important.
Yeah, for the short term.
Because if you on the short term don't make like impact as a new revenue leader, you also have a problem. Exactly, but if you only close like this quarter and you don't have a pipe for next quarter, the quarter after, you also have a problem.
Of course, yeah.
You need to build towards sustainability, and therefore you need to have this balance in short and long term. And I think one of the key things for myself is always partners, understanding truly the customers. That's like on the external side. And then the only thing, I mean, I always have like a bunch of things, but like on the internal side, what I found very important, regardless if you have, like myself, when I came in, cross-functional responsibility. To be honest, actually, when I came in, I was country manager, but didn't have direct responsibility on STRs, didn't have direct responsibility on everything post-sales. But in my mindset, I only want to have cross-functional alignment. I said, like, I don't really care that you direct or dotted line reporting to me. I'm country manager. I need to make sure that we are aligned, that we are working for the same customer. This is our ICP customer. And hey, we align together, we work together. And if we don't have that mindset, we will never build a strong foundation which is scalable in a satellite office.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes total sense. Thanks for sharing those insights. Okay, next up, I want to look at a concept that we've been thinking of in the past months. So, in our 8 years of existence, we've interviewed many sales leaders, recruited many sales leaders as well, and we've been thinking about what actually, how can we determine what makes a good sales leader or not? So what are the sort of key pillars that a great sales leader has in her or his life, basically, profession? And we've been able to break it down to 6 things.
Wow.
So I'm happy to get your 6 major pillars, and then happy to get your opinion on them as well. And then I want to also focus on 3 specific ones.
Yeah.
So there are a few ones that you focus on individually as a leader. So strategic vision. So basically understanding where the market is heading, looking at competition, how to position against that, etc. You have operational excellence, making sure that the tools are in place, execution, systems, processes, etc. Something that's on your konto as a sales manager, so to speak. Then there's you've touched upon this already as well, internal collaboration and alignment. So with the stakeholders above you, next to you, etc. And then there are 3 ones that are really related to managing a team and building a team and making sure you manage through them. So one of them is hiring, retention, and rewards.
Highly underestimated, but critically important if you want to be successful in the short and long term.
Yeah, exactly. So we're definitely going to dive into that. Looking at hiring, retention, and rewards. What is your number one secret or number one takeaway for a sales leader to share?
First of all, like if you've been sales leader for quite some time, you made a lot of hire mistakes. But I can only guess that Noble also knows, of course, not everything can be 100%, right? So I think that's like a key thing, and you learn a lot from these kind of hires. So I think also it's very important, especially when you're building orgs and you need to hire a bunch of SDRs, AEs, or CSMs, or even leaders at the moment. But backtrack as well. Like, what are the good ingredients, the characteristics which we see in high-performing people? I think that's really important. So I'll always have this feedback loop.
And is there something, because you've made hiring mistakes, is there something that you now implement after those mistakes that you didn't do before, basically? Something in your hiring process, for example, or maybe the questions you ask? Or
I think as well, like in this process, you're updating that process. But I think more than years ago when you were more younger in that leadership trajectory and experience, is like, it sounds weird, but also gut feeling becomes more and more important. I kind of have the feeling after my first conversation, like, I see this click, I see this working, and of course, it's very difficult in a high-performing business where a lot of money is involved that you make decisions only on your gut feelings. But it is a really important indicator. Like that's just the thing where I'm focused on way more, because intuition, to some extent, it always comes true. But I think where back in the days, I need to hire an SDR, and I'm just really looking at the threats, and I'm just doing role plays to see if this is the right fit. Whereas let's be honest, we all know that. I mean, we also see it in our data. The average tenure of an SDR for us is, if it's more than 18 months, it's non-existing. That means that you can't hire for, hey, is this person right for being an SDR? Where I'm really proud of, especially in the Benelux, but I think overall in our company as Personio, is that we have hired so many good talent as SDRs who have turned out being fabulous people outside of the SDR role. So I think in Q2, because now we're in Q3, I actually wrote a post on it. Like, I think 7 of our 9 high performers in the Benelux started as an SDR.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, and that's, I think, a key thing. Like, hey, look beyond the current role we're hiring for, regardless if this is an SDR, but look beyond.
I love that.
I think that's a key one. And the last one, I think I did it already from the start, but even more, what I found always very important, regardless of the role experience, if it's a leader, it's role playing, because I want to also understand how serious are you taking this role play.
Yeah.
So I can even imagine, like in my previous company, 24 Session, we were selling high tickets. We could sell easily up to 100K, 250K, up to what's $1 million ACV.
Yeah, exactly.
And
financial institutions.
Yeah, like big banks, insurers. And we did even role plays where we really required, prior towards the role played qualification, was disco call, that someone also picked up the phone prior to the day just to already have like a mimic intro call, for a discovery call, so to really understand where we are. And even if you have so much experience, I want you to see, not like, oh, but I know that I've done this many times. No, show me and take this very serious. Don't make jokes.
Don't
take
be
this very
arrogant or whatever.
take this very serious. Like, what is your preparation for this kind of meetings? What are your questions you are asking? How curious are you yourself? And then the most important part is we stop, and I'll ask you, okay, this is like the first part of the role play. How do you feel about it? And of course, you start always with your good things, because that's like how our intention, our ego works.
Yeah.
And I ask you, okay, but what are the 2 things you could do better? Because typically I'll say, what do I can do better? And maybe they ask me, no, I want you to analyze yourself.
See how
and I want to understand,
you are.
and how dare you directly want to be open on some vulnerable parts.
Okay.
Because I have in my mind as well, like what I noticed directly from this role play, where I think you can improve. Are you open and honest and vulnerable enough just to mention those things? Because you know, if you are, I mean, you know where you. I mean, also know like my legs. So if I can.
Of course, yeah.
And then then I will give feedback. And I learned this actually from my manager. She was like, "Am I allowed to give you feedback? Just to be open, like if you." Oh yeah, no, of course. I give you feedback. I wrote it down. Actually, it's a nice one. And then I give you this feedback. Okay, what we're going to do? We now do a retake. 15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nice.
And I only give you this tip: really apply the feedback I provided you. And then I want to see like how you apply.
Yeah,
and some people,
how coachable are you?
They don't have the experience, but directly they're open. They mention the right points, and they directly put in practice this feedback. I'm sold. Like 100%. This is the mentality. If you have this coaching mentality, you want to become better. I mean, regardless which role we are hiring for, I think, and then of course you need to have a cultural fit and need to fit into the budget, But that's really a key element where I focus at least along regarding the experience.
Yeah, honestly, that's a great tip. So I hope that everyone is taking notes here. And what about?
No, you don't have to take notes. Huh? I just put the transcript into. That's the thing. Like only, I know we can't derail. Like, but that's the thing. What I'm doing with the GTMOS. Yeah. Why should we always, as leaders or ICs, come up with the answers on the right moment? Yeah. I have now a problem. What are the best 6 questions to ask when I'm hiring an AE? This is my company. I want to have those 6 questions.
Yeah, you don't have to reinvent the wheel yourself.
And you can ask AI, but then you get very generic stuff because it doesn't know any context. But that's why I already like for podcasts, like there is so much podcast shared, really valuable for yourself as a leader.
Yep.
Have this transcript, put it in your freaking LLM from an AI and ask this question, and you have really your tailored questions, which really make you 1 or 5% better.
Fair enough.
So yeah, but still take notes, but AI can help you a little bit there.
At least mental notes.
Yeah.
Nice. Hey, and what about compensation? How do you create a commission scheme versus a quota versus maybe long-term incentive that motivates people to be in your team, stay on your team, and be successful?
I think that's also the number. Getting back towards like you're juggling as a first or a second line leader. And again, I talk a lot from leadership experience because of course that's the main experience I've got. Especially the last couple of years. So you are always in this juggle between, hey, I need to defend my team, and therefore I want to set realistic quotas. I want to compensate in the right way. But again, profitable, efficient, like to the top. You also need to make sure that you squeeze them at the max because you need to be productive. You need to be efficient. They need to make revenue for the company. So that's always a big balance. And I think one of those exercises now as well, I mean, we were moving quickly towards 2026, meaning we will start in September with annual planning, and typically that will be start top down. But I want, at least for my leaders as well, and also myself, start bottom up. Because before getting towards, do we set the right quota? Do we set the right compensation? Of course, different cycles, because compensation cycles is after a performance cycle, But that's a second topic. It's first understanding, okay, what is the big number we need to aim at from a top down, make there all kind of assumptions. I like to really have a bottom up plan to see like, does this actually make sense? Because I can put things in Excel and pull it forward and like, no, does it really make sense? Also on our growth trajectory, which we've seen in the last couple of years, And based on that, you can look, okay, now we know this number. How can we compensate the team? And do we need more? Can the current people do more?
Is there a gap? Yeah.
And obviously then there's like all kind of ways to see like how do we get towards the number, what is the coverage, and what do we eventually need to do on quota. But then we also need to look at like, hey, let's historically look, especially the last 6, 9, 12 months, how is quota attainment averaging, and how does it maybe compare towards another region? Because like we do a lot of benchmark, which I like, because like let's see, why is the UK or why is Spain? Germany for us is different because it's such a big organization, but like those other regions benchmark and see what
is working
and what is efficient, what can we do, where can we squeeze, where can we challenge, and that's more on the quota settings. And I think then on the and then again, I think it's really important as a leader, make sure that they feel that they can accomplish, and that at least I will say like 80% of the team will be at 80% of the attainment. Mm-hmm. Of course, you want to have everything at 100%, but let's be honest, difficult times, actually it's not always very realistic.
Yeah.
But
so
you need
are
to
you then saying that your quota might be too low if everybody's at 100%?
If everyone is really at one, again, it depends, right? But there can be an indicator that maybe quotas are too low.
Okay.
But there comes again, and I do think, and of course, I'm also part of Pavilion, so I will also advocate there typically when it comes to our CEO of Pavilion, with Sam Jacobs. He said, like, what I also found very important for anyone being a leader, you need to have financial literacy, knowledge.
Yeah,
so you need to understand how a P&L works. Mm-hmm. Because again, I don't mind that you make 200% on this quarter and that you have all kind of accelerators. But we also need to understand
how is that impacting the bottom line.
We need to be able to keep paying this for everyone, and it's not only your role. And I think that's for the leader to really understand what is the impact financially. And this is only on the cost of acquisition. And there comes my cross-functional leadership hat. Hey, nice that we have this cost of acquisition. This is new logo acquisition. How does that eventually fit with ICP and that our customers can stay there long term? So anyways, like that's more, but again, like that really comes to quota setting. I think the other thing you mentioned is compensation, and that's like also really highly underestimated. You need to comp very right. I know, of course, that you with Noble also do the annual, I think it's annual benchmarks, but it is really important that you have a clear career framework, like, and how this works when it comes to, even in my current role, what kind of steps can I make and what do I need to do to get there? And how often are we evaluating? Is that annually? Is that semi-annually? To have this really clearly documented. Okay. And then when it comes to the salary bands, that you understand, and it comes back towards for ourselves being in a satellite office, the wages we pay and the salary band in Germany is really different than UK, or hey, I have an office in Amsterdam and London. That is different. So really make sure that locally in that region or that country, you do benchmarks to see, are we paying fairly? Are we paying in line with what the market is paying? And I don't have to tell you, otherwise you just can't attract people.
Hire people, exactly.
But it's not only at hiring people. Of course, that what you always like. But I like to retain my people.
Of course.
Because that's why we're hiring for.
Of course.
And I'm also very satisfied that we already have over 3. So we are 5 years in the Benelux, and I think we have over average 3.5 years of people like staying with us. Yeah. So we have people who actually started 5 years ago who are still with us.
That's beautiful, yeah.
And that eventually comes down with like recognition, career frameworks, compensation, and people can most likely still be paid fairly. That's also one of the reasons why they want to keep working at us. Yeah. Among a lot of other factors, obviously.
Exactly. So you're saying it's basically a balance between recognition. It has to do with the right compensation, with the right steps, documenting on how to grow in your role, how to maybe grow outside of your role, what you need to do to hit certain milestones, and all of that.
And that comes back, 200%. And that comes back towards a process, a documented process of how are we making sure that the people we are hiring now are the right one for the roles for the future in our company, and be as transparent as you can be. It also depends on the policy of the type of company you are. We are quite actually we are significantly transparent. But we are really transparent on what is possible. Yeah. I do believe. Everyone argues maybe a little bit there, but like I think we are quite transparent. So I know as an IC, hey, these are the steps I can make, and this is like where I can grow towards. And having that in place, and we are not ideal. Like there are still like, if I now ask my team, then they will say, Koen, that's not true. But I think we have proven in the past that we are also really willing to make this possible for people, so people can stay. And because that also benefits the company.
Yeah.
So I think you don't need to underestimate that this structure and process and documentation is very important.
Yeah.
And it evolves. It's not like done. No, it evolves quick, and
continuous
it as well
process.
quickly. Like especially now in this market, it can be maybe even 6 months that you almost need to check from a management perspective if we are still in line with the market.
And a super practical question. So how is the OTE versus the quota at Personio Benelux? Like
but it all depends. Like it's not like that. Like for instance, the Benelux is not different than like for that's like there's a lot of things which we do from like globally or HQ. I think these kind of policies obviously comes as well from ourselves globally from our HR teams. Again, also depends. So it differs per experience, to be honest. So
seniority.
Seniority. So I think just for ourselves in SDR, we have 3 types of roles where you can start as an SDR 1, 2, 3, and then when I have to be sure, but like I think when it comes to AEs, we have like 6 or even 7 steps. So A 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the more maturity you have, the more experience. Sounds weird, but then we also really feel the trust. Then you can have more of the OTI, like the balance between the fixed and the OTI. And it depends, and that obviously also changes over the years. Like there is no like one specific answer there, but I think still we are a strong believer where I think when you outperform as an IC, you can make good money, really good money. But and especially now, I think that's the key thing. And I don't mind that we are more getting towards, let's say that maybe 50-50, because top performers will always still perform.
Yeah.
And they need to be rewarded well, because otherwise they will do it with your competitor.
Exactly.
This is the way it works. Let's be honest.
Of course.
And you need to then make sure that obviously from a sales team, because you always have a few, 1, 2 of multiple high performers, but this middle tier that obviously they can really perform and that they can make money, because that's the most solid piece of where you build your forecast and your plans on. Yeah.
Fair enough. It seems like you guys have this really well sorted out. It helps that you're a HR company, right?
We can sell the best. Like that's the thing. No, that's kidding. No, I mean I think decent, really decent. Yeah.
Nice, cool.
And learned along the years. Like I also, I mean, for anyone listening, we are a company existing for 10 years. We make, I can't of course mention any numbers, like a lot of revenue, like ARR. Like I don't think there are many companies our age in Europe who are so advanced as Personio. So we have learned a lot of things. We have made so many mistakes.
Yeah.
So, hey, just to put it in perspective, like if you are a startup from a few years, the context is all different. So
all different, yeah.
And you need to make those mistakes. But I think the key lessons also for ourselves, even if an HR company, because like there's a lot of things on an HR policy of like HR side which I think can do better. But eventually, if you make mistakes or if you don't do things, communicate as leaders and leaderships and as a company. And I think that solves overly communicating on these kind of things where it can be within any range of transparency. That really does like a lot.
A lot, yeah, exactly. Cool. Thanks for sharing that. I think it's amazing insights. Then moving on to the next pillar. This is, I can imagine a difficult one, but it's inspire and motivate. Are there specific things or one specific thing that you do you think exceptionally well to inspire and motivate people in your team?
You should ask my team. So
right.
I think, and again, like you know me a little bit, but like I have a non-stop battery on my shoulders. Like I will never shut up. That's also the thing if you let me speak. But I will also never stop like really putting a lot of energy in what I speak or what I do. I'm also very from the gestures, etc. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the SDRs like, hey, Koen, I haven't seen you for like 1.5 2 weeks. I think I was traveling a bit, was not during my holidays. And he said like, damn, I was really missing this energy the last couple 1.5 week. And again, like that's me. I think when it comes to motivate people, I'm a big fan of hybrid. So I'm not a remote guy at all. I also, I mean, in my teams, it's not going to happen. I don't see myself working for a remote company, even though this has a lot of benefits also myself as a young parent. I need that energy of the office, from an office. And I do also kind of think, but I'm biased here. That you as a leader, you also set some pace. I mean, we are a commercial team, so come on, we need to do this extra. We need to put this power. We need to
leading by example.
And that also comes with like just doing this extra step, extra call, extra meeting. Just set it like a half hour longer and try this extra stakeholders. And that also just comes with your energy and pace of just doing that extra thing with extra attention and motivation. And that's me. And I think that's for a leader very important to drive. But having said, and that's found very important, this is my leadership style.
Yeah.
So, for instance, my current leader, Tom, who's VP of International, so he looks over entire International, 180 degrees different leader than myself. But he's so strong and so good.
Yeah.
I can really love working with him. Yeah. And 100% opposite, 180% different than myself. Like not like that energized, like whatever. But so this works for me. Yeah. I do believe it's also a very strong set, but there are different and nuances in the personality which you are.
But that's maybe the biggest takeaway then, right? So find your own personal style that is really your personality to motivate and inspire people around you in your teams and be authentic with that, basically.
Yeah, I think maybe two things is like approachable, being always approachable, like being there for your team. Like it's so important. I think that's like because it also creates trust that people can always go for whatever. Like it can be the business, it can be like sparring over deals, or but it can also be personal things. So you really feel like, hey, if there's anything else, we are human. Things happen in life. Please be open and honest, and let's be able to discuss these kind of things. And that comes down towards my second point. What I want to make is like communication. Because again, like I'm energetic, I'm overly communicating, or maybe where you can say things in one sentence, I say 3 sentences, or when write one sentence, and I also write 3. But I think the eventually being very clear in your communication, and maybe that can coming back towards overly communicating as a leader as well. I also don't think that harms, regardless of your personality.
Yeah, exactly. So being super approachable as a leader, but also communicating everything clearly, your goals, what you expect from somebody.
Be clear. And I like to be as transparent as I can. Of course, in your role, you can't share everything. But what I can share, I will, with the right context, if it's relevant. Otherwise, you should not. That's also an important role for a leader. Because if I create this trust with yourself, I hope and I expect that you will do the same with me.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's really important because I want to know when you have the feeling that you're not good at this spot anymore, that you're maybe looking towards external, you're talking to others. Hey, could we have prevented this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Nice. Cool. Then let's move on to the 6th and final pillar, and it's training, coaching, and performance management. So, do you have a specific takeaway, a specific tip for a sales leader out there regarding training, coaching, and performance management? Maybe when things are not going well.
So this is one of my biggest things that I really like developing people, training people, coaching people. I can do this like every day. You can even wake me up in the night. I don't like if you want to have tips and tricks. I love to do this, but doing this very well, executing this consistently is the hardest thing for a sales manager. So even though I'm a big fan, I also know like this directly the biggest lacks to do this consistently and to do this specifically. The first thing with AI, what I actually did is building coaching frameworks. That was already 2.5 years ago. And what I think is really important, what typically is not there, if there's, again, it comes back towards, I want to develop you as a person, but if there's no process, no structure, if you don't know where to focus on, and we are not aligned on the things where we are coaching on, how can we measure progress? And if I do it like for 10 things, because you can become better as an AE in 10 different things, because that's the thing. No, be specific. What is my metric I need to hit? What is the metric I understand which we need to influence? Whether this is pipeline creation or doing better demoing, or maybe it's the closing part or the after demo part. Like, be really specific in the metric where where you see you can make the biggest most impact on your number. Because come on, we need to get towards a number. Then we breaking this down, and first we align. If I see this, now I want you to see this as I see in this case. Because if you don't see it, how can we work? Because then you're never are intentionally or personally like motivated intrinsically to solve this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If we then are aligned, okay, but then we are making a plan. And we are making a plan and say, like, okay, these are the 3 things this quarter, or 2 things where we are going to focus on. And the last thing, what I really like, it's also easy for a leader, but like I put the ownership at your side. So I give you the structure, We align on those two things where we want to coach on. We do a bi-weekly coaching.
Mm-hmm.
It's in my agenda, but I'm not going to prep it. It's you take this lead. So I want you to own it. I want you to show like, hey, this is my progress. This is, hey, Koen, I want to, even if it's a leader, like I don't care if it's an IC or a first line leader or you own it. We have aligned that we want to improve these, and you come up like, is it going to be a role play, or what do you want to do? And it's difficult, and it's easier for myself as a leader, but that they always come up prepared for this meeting.
Yeah, that's really
the
good.
more people of like the people who are doing this in the right way, and of course it's so busy that sometimes, let's say it's bi-weekly, that you can't do that like every bi-weekly or so much prep, but like those who take this the most serious part, I also see eventually in their attainment and their promotions that these are the people who really...
so you do see like a real strong connection to the people.
I mean, strong. This is anecdotally, but definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah, great. I think that's a great.
And so just to break it down for anyone, make it specific and make it little and small, like only a few elements. And there's so much. If you listen as a coach to another call, there's so many things you can do better. But if you listen to Michael, there's also tons of things I can do better. But that's not the point. We need to understand what moves the needle for your role and what's your role. And even for an IC or for a leader, it's like hitting goals, and break that down. Always move from a metric and then move down towards root cause and then be specific and document. But the tip for anyone like to follow, I mean, of course, it doesn't come from me. I'm a big fan of Kevin Dorsey, and most people in the SaaS space, if you don't know Kevin Dorsey, you need to update your knowledge. But he's like one of those key leaders who really train on these kind of things and has all kind of frameworks to make this into a process. And that makes the right sales talent and the right sales leaders. And tip just to watch.
Beautiful. Yeah, thanks a lot, Koen. Thanks for all the great insights today. It was, I think, a great episode. So if you're interested in following Koen's growth journey, make sure to give him a follow on LinkedIn. And if you enjoy this podcast, make sure to subscribe and listen to one of the episodes coming up. Thanks a lot, and thank you again, Koen. And see you next time.